Welcome to video 2 of expository graphics. In this video we'll talk about annotations, and there will be 3 different ways we will use annotations, or 3 different functions we'll use to call for annotations. So one will be geom text, which is like geom point but takes a label as an argument. Other alternatives are geom label and a function called geom label repel from the GG repel package. So first we're going to just develop a new data set called best in class. And what this data set will do is this will tell us which of the cars has the best highway mileage in each class of cars. So for each 2-seater, for instance, this had the best was the Chevy Corvette. The minivan, the best highway mileage was the Dodge Caravan 2-wheel drive. Now, why would we have wanted to do this new data set? Well, it's because we've got this plot of all of our cars, but what we'd like to do is to put an annotation on our graph where the best in each class is, right? We have a different colored dots for each class, so it'd be nice if we could add labels for the ones that are the best in class. So we can do that by simply adding a geom text with the label to be the model, right? This is our tibble that has our results for the best in class. So we want to label on those. And notice they also have the x variable that we need and the y variable we need. So it'll pick up the x and the y by default from what we had from before in our GG plot. And it'll take the data, though, from this time from best in class. So when we do that, we'll see that it added in labels for these models at these locations. So for instance, the Caravan 2-wheel drive, right, is the best in class for the minivan. So it is put in the place where it has a y coordinate of 24 for the highway, and the x coordinate would be 2.4. So that should be at x of 2.4, y of 24, and that'll center where the word is. So that's where the center of that model is. Okay, that's good, but then we see that the 2 of them were not readable. There's maybe 2 things stuck right there on top of each other. So we're going to try the geom label, which draws a rectangle around the word, and it is also going to have a nudge y, and I can set alpha so that I can see through things, and they are nudging it off the y value a little bit, so it'll be above the point. So it's nudged above the point that it's describing. But I see I still have that problem there where it doesn't keep the labels from being printed on top of each other. So that's where I'm going to use GG repel package. So I will start by librarying in GG repel. And then I will use the geom label repel and see what that does for me. So here we are. So I can see that I had both New Beetle and Jetta here. And this has repelled or kept the labels from being on top of each other. Now, we also added another little trick in this that's not part of the repel package, but you see I added, in addition to the regular geom point, I added another geom point that would go on top of that has a shape of 1, which means sort of a hollow circle, and a size of 3. So that wound up just putting a circle around the point that I'm referring to. Okay, so I can see now that the Toyota Tacoma 4-wheel drive goes with this point. The Caravan 2-wheel drive goes with that point, so forth. So I can see which points are the best in class for each of those. Now another thing I might want to do is do something like summarize the median for each of these for each class of car. So when I do that, I can see class average now. I have the average or the median displacement and highway mileage for each of these classes. So now, see, this DSPL is still the name of my X variable, and HWY is still the name of my Y variable, but now I want these to be my labels and put those in the middle in my graph in these spots. So I have used geom label repel, taken the label to be the class here, and the data coming out of class average, and I can set the size, the label size, the segment color. So, and then I turned off, because these already give me the color, I can turn off the legend and give me a little more space for my actual data. So I can see the subcompacts are centered here, the compacts are centered here, so forth. Gives me an idea that the two-seaters, so what would you say about the two-seaters? Well, they have the largest displacement, but they also have fairly good highway mileage. Whereas the others, I can see the pickups have the worst highway mileage on average. Now you will do exercise 2 to add labels to a graph of your choice, preferably the one you used for the previous exercise, and then come back and we will talk about adding text as a single label.